watch a snippet here of the music video for a song called Surveillance Capitalism. Their message is to take action against Spotify, who they say is planning to spy on us and use emotional surveillance for profit. Now, Spotify got a new patent back in January for new technology that can figure out our emotional state, gender, age, or accent by just listening to us. And then it can suggest music. Activists and digital rights groups aren't really into this. So here to discuss why is one of the people leading the charge, Evan Greer. Evan, thanks for being with us today. Explain why is this a problem and how concerned should Spotify users be?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the first and foremost reason this is a problem is because it invades your privacy for no good reason. Nobody wants Spotify to be listening to their conversations in order to recommend music and ads. We can go find the music that we want to hear. Imagine telling your friend on the phone that you're depressed and then having Spotify play depressing music for you to keep you listening to music on their platform, just so that they can rake in a few extra advertising dollars. That's not the future that we want. And I shudder to think of a future where music is made to please a cold-blooded algorithm rather than made for human connection the way it has been for thousands and thousands of years.
Interesting. Now, I know that a letter initially was sent out to Spotify demanding that they remove this patent, but we actually reached out to Spotify before today's interview, and they told us that they are not using this tech in any of their products and don't plan on it. So why the push for them to abandon it altogether?
Absolutely. I mean, this is something we hear from companies all the time when they face backlash for implementing invasive or discriminatory technology. They'll say, oh, well, we just filed a patent. We're not planning to use this right now. But what we're calling for is for Spotify to publicly commit to never implementing this invasive surveillance technology and to never selling it or monetizing it so nobody else can do it either. So this is what we're looking for. It's a clear commitment, not just a pinky swear. We want Spotify to be transparent with their users, and we want them to listen to the demands of organizations like the Union of Musicians and Allied Workers, who have also been pressuring them to just pay independent artists better and be more transparent about what they do with our data in the first place. Just like Facebook or YouTube, Spotify is a company that's business model is based on harvesting data, and we need to be concerned about that.
You use this term surveillance capitalism. Can you expand on what exactly that is?
Absolutely. Surveillance capitalism is, again, a business model that is built on the backs of essentially stealing personal information about all of us and using it to manipulate us. So the same way that Facebook harvests our data and then uses it to push content down our throats that Facebook thinks we want to see, Spotify is doing that with music. Surveillance capitalism is a business model that is fundamentally incompatible with basic human rights and democracy. And that's why we've seen an enormous uprising from civil rights organizations, racial justice groups, LGBTQ organizations, and human rights groups across the world who are calling for an end to this parasitic business model and for a future where the internet is a place for connection and for upliftment and empowerment rather than for exploitation and greed.
Are we seeing anything similar to this tech being used on other platforms that we know of?
Absolutely. So, Spotify has a very similar business model to other companies. This patent is certainly a step above if they were to implement something like this and actually be actively listening to all of your conversations and using artificial intelligence to analyze them. But in the end, it's not particularly different than what, for example, Amazon already does with Alexa. If you have an Alexa device in your home, it is picking up your conversations. And we know that Amazon employees have been caught in the past listening in on intimate moments, couples in their bedroom, things like that. And so overall, this is part of a broader problem where we need strong policies in place to protect people from corporations that are increasingly profiting from surveillance and from having more and more devices in our homes, in our cars, on our persons that are listening to us and watching us all the time. That doesn't make the world a safer place, especially not for marginalized folks like queer people and people of color.
Pretty concerning stuff for sure. Very quickly, Evan, how can people join your fight?
Sure. So the song is off an album called Spotify is Surveillance, and you can find that on any platform. And you can go to stopspotifysurveillance.org if you want to sign the petition to Spotify, calling on them to publicly commit to never using this invasive surveillance technology on music listeners.
Got it. Evan Greer, appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
And as I just mentioned, we did reach out to Spotify for comment on this issue, and this is what they had to say. Spotify takes the privacy and safety of our users very seriously, and we welcome the opportunity to discuss these important issues. With this as a backdrop, Spotify has never implemented the technology described in the patent in any of our products, and we have no plans to do so. Our research and development teams are constantly envisioning and developing new technologies as part of our ongoing innovation cycle. The decision to patent an invention does not always reflect the company's intent to implement the invention in a product, but is instead influenced by a number of other considerations, including our responsibilities to our users and to society at large. A Spotify spokesperson goes on to assure that any product Spotify develops, both now and in the future, will reflect their commitment to conducting a business in a socially responsible manner and comply with applicable law.
Ready to take a deep dive? Join Tabitha Lipkin